Call a meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance. Flag. United States of America.
America, and
The Republic which stands
To the republic,
under God,
one nation.
and justice for all. Mr. Kenner, roll call.
President McCarthy,
Present.
Dr. Carpenter,
present.
Mr. Forbeck,
Present.
Ms. Loalbo,
Present.
Mr. Matlin,
Present.
Ms. Provenza,
Present.
Mr. Suchovich is going to be joining here. He must be running a little bit late. Mayor Recupero,
Present.
Mr. Alexander,
Present.
Mr. Pitch,
Present.
and Mr. Suchovich.
Present. Sorry
And
about
I'm
that.
also here.
Okay, at this time, we'll hear registered comments from the public. Please try to limit it to 3 minutes.
Up first will be Laura Jacko.
Okay.
Go ahead, Laura.
Hey, yeah, is Rhea here too? And is it possible for you to unmute her as well?
She is, and we can do that. Okay.
She's kind of my co-helper on the whole garden thing.
You should be good.
So, Rhea, can you talk?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. So Rhea and I and got like everybody on Parks and Rec, and we've been working with the Garden Club and the Verona Community Group to explore the possibility of bringing a community garden to Verona. We thought it would be especially nice as one of the projects for the 150th next year. And over the last several months, we've been kind of looking into the feasibility of it and how to get it paid for and where to put it and all that stuff. And I think that I may have brought this up in a council meeting, but like way earlier in the year when we were kind of first deciding to look into it. But we've kind of gotten, I think, everything together as far as what it would look like, and wanted to present it to council to see if it was okay to go ahead and proceed with it. So we reached out to Grow Pittsburgh, which is a nonprofit organization in Pittsburgh that actually sponsors community gardens. So they pay for everything that it takes to get one set up, which is great because this means that it's an improvement to the community without a cost to the community, which is, you know, how often does that happen? We love it. And Grow Pittsburgh does have some rules, however, that must be followed when, like, you know, if they'll pay for a garden. Like, they'll only subsidize a garden under certain circumstances, one of those being locations. So we looked around, and one of the things that Grow Pittsburgh requires as far as location is that a community garden not be put on private property. So the only option is public property. And only in certain areas of town. They have they have a map I could show people if people are interested, of basically where like the lower income areas in Verona are, and some of the other areas in Verona are too high income for them to subsidize a garden. And it looks like putting a couple of like a small garden in Railroad Park would probably be the best option due to their restrictions, as well as it being accessible to the whole community. It's handicapped accessible, and there's also a water source there. On the very positive side as well, they would actually upgrade our water source that's on that's in the park on that side, so it would be much easier to use. Right now, all it is a hose that's in the ground with like a manhole cover over it, and they would make it something that would be like a permanent upgrade for us as a community. So I wanted to, if we're amenable to the idea, go over some photos of what other people have done and what it brought to their communities, and you know, where we could put it here. If I'm allowed to screen share, I can show it to you guys. If I'm not, I guess I could just email them. But basically, a lot of our neighboring communities have done this, and they've, you know, by and large, found it to be a big benefit to the community. Especially right now, it's something nice that we could offer our community members to do as far as like an outdoor activity that would be socially distant. We'll be putting in flowers that would beautify the park, as well as vegetables and food that could be used to feed the community for free, which is wonderful. And it would also be a really wonderful way to have a nice outdoor activity for seniors. They can actually build special raised beds that are raised up higher so that people with back and neck issues don't need to bend over to garden. So it would create a lovely outdoor activity for people who might not be able to take advantage of, say, some of the sports areas. First of all, Rhea, did I miss anything, do you think, in like kind of the general intro on that, or?
No, not really. I would like to stress that all of this is free, and I think that that's wonderful that Grow Pittsburgh, they do all the heavy lifting as far as paying for the upgrades, like you said, for the water and any materials that we need. It's just an amazing program. I just wanted to stress the free part.
Yeah, it's really, and it provides free organic produce to the community. And especially right now where people might be struggling, it would probably be a really lovely outlet for some people who might not otherwise be able to afford such a thing. Jerry, is it possible for me to screen share or no?
No, I just checked. It doesn't look like there's a way to allow you to screen share.
Okay, because I can send photos. Basically, we were looking at, and Nancy came with us so she can kind of express, if I'm expressing it incorrectly, the location. But at Railroad Park, on the section to the left, if you're facing that big, beautiful new pavilion that we have, to the left of it, it's just kind of patchy grass there. There hasn't really been any upgrades that have been made short of some of those trees that we put in last year. And but we thought that would, again, because of it being accessible to the whole community, visible to the whole community, handicap accessible and accessible to water, would be a really good place to put it. And it would be not taking up that entire half, but kind of just like the front half of it. The back half would still be, like, I know that like food trucks and vendors for the farmers market can drive through back on that grass sometimes, and they'd still be able to do that. So it would just kind of be a really lovely upgrade to the park. And I know one of the things like Trish suggested is that apparently we have some bricks that were like historic bricks that were pulled up from a street that was redone at some point that might be able to be reused into portions of this garden. So it would really kind of tie in that whole historical aspect of everything as well. And yeah, it would just, I think, bring a lot of really big benefits to the community, as well as kind of put us on par with what a lot of our neighboring communities are doing as far as having you know, outdoor amenities and fresh produce available to everybody.
I would also like to add that we as a community get to decide what this garden looks like. We help them draft blueprints. So any of us in this community can have a voice in what goes into this and how it looks and how it functions. So even though maybe a few of us have started this initiative, it truly is a community garden and going to be a community effort.
Yeah, and thank you for reminding me, Rhea. Actually, I started to put out a survey to the community to see, just get a temperature on where people were. And every single person, I've had 20 responses so far, every single person was very enthusiastic. Almost everybody even provided me with their contact information so they could come help. Not a single person said that they didn't want one. Everybody said that they wanted one. And a lot of people were really interested in getting involved with having a gardening space that was available to the community members. So that was another benefit. It looks like something the community actually does like have a desire for.
Okay.
How big would this be?
Sorry?
How big would this be?
Yeah, so yeah, I wish I could show pictures because the pictures really would more adequately show you. So I can email everybody pictures
Yeah, but
afterwards.
what would be the dimensions of it?
Approximately
like I said, I
20 by
took
40.
pictures because.
What's that?
It's approximately 20 by 40, maybe a little bigger. It's behind the sign there that Luke and Kathy take care of on the level part, not on the part that slants down, and would go toward the Ian Miller parking lot and then go toward the new trees that were planted, but not all the way, 20, 25 feet, and then back down, make a rectangle.
And the borough would have no involvement is with our DPW taking care of it at all.
Well, that's
Yeah,
a
it
question I
actually-
would,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it actually takes something off of them a little bit because it's less grass for them to mow.
Um,
The
my-
only thing that they
My
would do
question
just,
is, the borough doesn't have to do nothing with the planting or weeding or anything like that.
no, it's a
Watering.
community. Sorry.
maintenance. point of
Maintenance,
material.
period.
Yeah, so the whole thing is set up by Grow Pittsburgh. They put it all in, and then you know, the community tends to the actual garden part. So the DPW would just be mowing what they already mow, but actually having some space taken away from their mowing. So theoretically, it might even be a faster mow for them.
And Grow Pittsburgh does provide us with education and resources to help us learn how to manage having a community garden. So I've actually already attended some trainings where they teach you how to just increase engagement of your community in the garden and how the best practices of how to divvy up work within the community garden. So yeah, they empower us so that we know how we can take care of it and how we can make the work as stress-free as possible, and it would be hands-off for DPW.
Yeah.
Laura and Rhea, I have a question. I think the community garden is a wonderful idea. I'm certainly not opposed to it, and especially people eating organic food, which is right up my line. Are there any other sites that we have options for other than the park?
So I looked into it pretty exhaustively, and like I said, kind of one of our restricting factors is that it has to be on public land. It can't be on anything that's privately owned. And then you know, with Grow Pittsburgh, they'll only subsidize areas that are lower income, so that cuts down even further some of the choices that there would have been. And so it just kind of seems like the best option because there's not a whole lot of publicly owned land that we have. And this one is next to an existing water source, since there is water that runs in down there. And it's accessible and visible to the whole community. So they really, Grow Pittsburgh was really excited about the spot. It's pretty on par with what other communities do. And there's just not really a whole lot of space, for example, in Cribs or the Riverbank Park for this sort of a thing. But there is space in Railroad Park where it hasn't, been used for any sort of community projects yet. So given those factors, it seemed like the best option.
Okay, are we permitted, I understand what you mean about the property being borough property, but I wanted to ask, if somebody had the property, like there's a really nice piece of property on the corner of South and East Railroad Avenue, a large piece of property, very level. If we were to rent that, would that be permissible?
No, because they consider it I think I'd have to look into how this goes, but they're connected to the county somehow, and the county will not pay for any private property to be improved. Essentially, they were pretty strict about that. So they only want to pay to help improve publicly owned property, and that was a pretty strict restriction for them.
So what you're saying is that, Laura, is that is basically the only piece of property?
Yeah, I mean,
that will accept, right?
Yeah, we looked into it pretty extensively, and it seemed like it was the best option. I mean, Trish had said something about like maybe the old salt pile area, but that's not particularly accessible, and I don't even know if there's any water over there, so it'd be much harder even if that was feasible to get something set up there.
Okay,
So it seems like the best option.
okay. Send those photos to Jerry so he can get them to us on council, okay?
Okay. And
Thank you.
the application is due in October, so would it be okay for us to get an email approval from council? If everybody wants to look at the photos first?
Let us have the photos and we'll make a decision after we've seen everything and have discussed it.
No, oh, I understand that. I was just wondering if, like, so I don't have to wait a month, you know,
No,
would email
we have
be
a
okay?
workshop. We can have it or do it beforehand after we see everything.
Perfect. Okay, I can
Thank
do
you.
that. And I can also send along photos of what some other communities have done.
Thank you.
Yeah, and like I said, but when I was talking to Grow Pittsburgh, most councils feel that it was something that really enhanced their community. And I personally was really, really excited to have something that was very accessible to people of all ages. I thought that was wonderful.
That's good. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else, Jerry?
Yeah, we have Trish
Okay.
Showalter. Go ahead, Trish.
Good evening, Council. Trish Rezek, Showalter, 440 North. I'm starting off tonight wearing my Verona Community Group hat. On behalf of the entire VCG board, I want to thank Council for your overwhelming support of VCG regarding your decision to extend your liability insurance to cover Saturday's modified socially distant community day and scavenger hunt. I'd also like to formally invite all of Council to attend our event starting at 5 and take advantage of our early bird pricing on 150th t-shirt sales and culminating, of course, in Park and Rec's drive-in movie. If you forget the details, please check out the marquee signs both at Railroad and Cribs. Huge thanks to Mike and Janet for that awesome repair. Now I'm putting on my Block Watch hat in light of Saturday's event, but also in general. I want to ask for Council and particularly Mayor Dave's help in increasing police enforcement of pedestrian safety, particularly on ARB as well as the business district. Recently, my husband and good friend and neighbor were nearly hit on ARB while crossing in the crosswalk at Get-Go with children to walk to the Riverview Children's Center. People have been injured in this area and there have been numerous other near misses, particularly on ARB and Railroad Avenue. As Jerry already knows, we did reach out to PennDOT and they recommended increased local enforcement and additional signs and/or markings, but emphasis on local enforcement. I wanted to point out that increasing police enforcement in these high pedestrian areas may also help with another issue that's been brought up recently on Verona's Neighborhood Watch Facebook page, which is a desire by the public to just see our officers out and about more in the community. Additionally, in March of this year, I brought up the need to do a number of things, including remarking faded crosswalks throughout town. While I definitely appreciate the work that's been done so far, repainting center lines and the street corners, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing the crosswalks repainted as well. Finally, while we all know the effects of the pandemic are fluid, I am curious to hear what Council is thinking in terms of the upcoming holiday events and ways that these various community groups can come together and help to support them. On this, I know Mayor Dave also has some awesome ideas. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Trish. Anybody else?
That's it for registered comments. Do you want to go into just comments?
No, we'll do that at the end.
Okay.
Comments. Okay. Report.
Okay. So
You
to
ready,
me,
Jerry?
yeah. So the first thing on the agenda under me is the meeting minutes that were distributed by Marcia for the last council meeting in August. We would need a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
We
I'll
need
make a motion.
Second,
Mr. Sutsovich made the motion. Second
Sylvia?
by Ms. Provenza. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there no no's? Motion passed.
The next thing on the agenda would be the bills payable. Last week, I sent out the bills payable list and the checklist for everybody to review. If there's no questions, we need a motion to pay the bills.
Need a motion to pay the bills.
Make that motion.
Mr. Sutsovich made the motion. Second. Mr. Forback. Are there any questions? No questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any no's? Motion passed.
Next would be the tax collector special tax report. In the month of August, we received $2,603.54 in current year real estate taxes, $4,112.23 in delinquent real estate taxes, $2,146.20 in real estate transfer taxes, $27,850.41 in earned income taxes for the current year, $11,687.52 in local service taxes for the current year. We need a
Need a
motion.
motion to accept the tax collectors and special taxes report.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Suchovich made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Provenza seconded. Are there any questions? No questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? No noes. Motion passed.
The next would be the treasurer's report. We began the month of August with $339,499.99 in the general fund. We received $72,156.39 in deposits. We spent $82,387.67 for an ending balance $329,268.73.
I need a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Suchovich made the motion. Do I have a second? I'll second it. Are there any questions? No questions. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any noes? No noes. Motion passed.
I have a couple of things, Pat, but I will defer to the police chief and do the next ones, and then I'll follow up at the end.
Okay. We need the police chief's report. He's not here. David, you want to give that?
Hold on.
I'll read it.
Oh,
I'm going to promote him. He
Is he
logged
here?
back in. I can promote him to a panelist. Hold on. I didn't realize he got kicked out. Go ahead, Chief. You're ready for your report.
Just on mute.
he's muted.
I'm working on it.
There. Thank you. Chief,
There he
Sorry,
is.
it's all right.
I was trying to turn the volume up and turn the computer off. Okay,
We're ready.
good evening, everyone. We
Good
received 147 complaints, 20 crimes reported, 10 cleared. We had 1 arrest. Crimes code summaries issued was 1. Vehicle codes summaries issued was 37. Borough code summaries issued with 20, and we had 135 parking tickets issued. Our revenue sources is magistrate's fines collected was $1,350.38. Borough fines and fees collected was $735. $45 in police reports purchased. Total fines and fees collected was $2,130.38, and parking permit was $145. That's all I have for the evening.
Thank you, Chief. I need a motion to accept the chief's police report. I'll make that motion. Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
Second by Mr. Suchovich. Are there any questions? No questions. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any noes? No noes. Motion passed. Thanks, Chief. You can stick around if you want.
Thanks, Pat. I will for a few minutes.
Okay. Fire chief's report.
We had 12 fire calls for the month of August. We had a little bit of an issue down at the Verona Gardens. Apparently they had a roof problem. We just called down there like 5 or 6 times in a couple days. We was in contact with the alarm company. We was in contact with the managers, and they apparently the wiring through the roof leaking. They got it rectified. Brings me to one thing I'd like the ordinance committee maybe to look into, along with Mr. Alexander. Some townships and boroughs have ordinances on nuisance alarms, because a lot of people, when they go off like that, they don't get them fixed. They just let it go and let the fire department run and run and run. A nuisance alarm would be something like that, at the same place, the same address. Mr. Alexander's probably dealt with it through Penn Hills and through other of his organizations. So I don't think it'd be a major deal for the ordinance committee and him to look into and maybe bring something back. I don't know if that would be part of the fire committee too, bring something back through the ordinances. So if these people don't want to act on it, we can get them to act on it and with through an ordinance. At least give them the scare tactic a little bit anyway. So maybe they can look into that and then get back to us. So other than that, that's all I have.
Thanks, Ray. I need a
Pat,
motion to,
Pat, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I need a motion to accept the fire chief's report.
Make the motion to accept this report.
Second.
First by Mr. Forback, second by Mr. Matlin. Are there any questions? No questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes,
I have a question.
go ahead.
Going that, I would also like to implement the police department in that ordinance. We don't have very many, probably very few, but I would rather it be in the ordinance both for fire and police. You know,
Very good.
a burglar alarm, homes, businesses.
Okay, that's a good idea. Put them both in there at one time. Okay, are there any other questions? No questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? No noes. Motion passed. EMS report.
Hold on, I'm having Jamie added in. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jamie. You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
We lost you.
7 advanced life support with transport, 6 basic life support with transport, 12 cancellations, 3 patient refusals. Bringing the total for the whole month of August for our whole area was 330.
I need a motion to accept the EMS report.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Suchovich made the motion. Do I need a second?
Second.
Who said second?
Nancy.
Nancy? Okay. Second by Dr. Carpenter. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any noes? No noes. Motion passed to accept.
Okay, I had a couple things to bring up. Dory Tompa contacted me today regarding an event that they've been doing for several years. I'll just read the email. In the past years, the Verona Council has approved the temporary closing of the public docks to the public and to be dedicated for a rowing event. May I please respectfully ask for you to request on my behalf if the Verona public docks could be closed to the public on Saturday, September 26th from 6 a.m. till 1 p.m. so that a traveling rowing team can launch with their boats on that dock. Let me just read through this here. I mean, the rest of the email just is further information, but that's the gist of the request. So it's something that we've done in the past, so council would have to decide whether we are willing to do it this year.
Anybody have any objections to it? Should we do it in a motion, Craig?
Yes.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor to close the docks, public docks on Saturday, September 26th from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m.
6 a.m. till 1 p.m. on Saturday, September 26th.
I need a motion to,
I'll make that motion.
Mr.
I'll
Sutter
second
made the
it.
motion, seconded by Mr. Forback. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Sure.
Will we be able to put up a sign, or will Dory be putting up a sign or anything notifying, like if we put something up in advance just to let people know?
Yeah, I'll talk to Dory and see if she intends to do that. If not, we will make sure that we have something up.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Any other questions? No questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any noes? No noes. Motion passed.
Okay. Next, we received a request for the North Avenue Block Party. This is something else that they do every year. Dave, do you have a date on when they're doing this?
You talking to me or Dave Matlin?
Mayor?
It was on the, you sent it out. I have to go back.
Yeah, I got it. September 19th, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m.
What was the time again?
11 a.m. to 11 p.m.
All right.
So that would require a motion as well.
Before you do a motion, I'm just wondering about something like this. Are we going to get some kind of agreement from them that they're going to do social distancing and wear masks and do all those COVID type things for 12 hours? It seems like a potential activity that there could be, the virus happening. Large, how many people are they planning on having? I think there's a cap on that. I'm not sure what it is as of today. I'm concerned about it being a virus spreading thing. Unless they're willing to tell us what their plans are to prevent that.
Craig, can you comment on that, please?
Sure. I mean, the virus is out there. It's everywhere. We're going to have a community days here, and the community days folks have said, hey, we're going to social distance. I mean, I think it's up to folks to self-police that. They need to social distance. They need to follow the CDC guidelines, and we need to tell them that they need to do that, and they need to wear masks and all that stuff that, we know we need to do.
Do you know what the maximum people in a place is currently, Craig?
I haven't seen that it's gone up yet, so I would presume in Allegheny County it's still 50. I don't know that. I just saw that the governor said that restaurants can increase to 50% capacity as of September 21st. I don't know why it's so far out, but they are progressing things along, and maybe they'll progress that along. I mean,
It was 200 in an outdoor setting.
Outdoor setting is 250 people.
That's
I'm
everything
hearing
else.
that it's 100. It's 100.
I think it's
Outdoor.
250.
See, I think it is 100. It's 250 everywhere other than Allegheny County, and
Right.
again, that's self-policing, as far as I'm concerned.
And it's not like it's going to be in one yard. It's going to be a whole block. So
Exactly.
does that mean 100
And they're the
people in
same
an entire
people
block?
that live there. It's not like people are coming in from outside that block area.
And which block is it?
400 block.
Lower
The 400
part
block.
of North Ave.
Yeah, okay, that doesn't really, I don't know
First
which is.
Street to High Street.
Okay, thank you.
I think the concern might be, maybe, I don't know if, maybe that Nancy has, would be that in the past, I know that they've done like potluck sharing meals, and I don't know if that, with their neighbors and all, but I think that might be part of the concern. I don't think that the group limits, the size of the group limits, whether it's, even if it's 50 or 100, I don't think that's a big deal. But I wonder if we could, Craig, could we just say, if we approve this, that it's contingent on them following whatever
CDD,
county, state regulations.
state guidelines.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know,
That's what I would think, yeah.
for instance, with the farmer's market, they have cones and signs, and there's people there monitoring that people have masks. We give away masks for free. It's going to be a similar setup for the community day, where you ask people to go in one direction for the tables and the other direction to exit, just like they do in the grocery stores, where you're supposed to go one way. So, I'm not saying the one-way thing for a block party. I'm just saying that we're doing so well, I would hate to see us have a virus spike because of a party.
Here's the thing, though. This isn't a borough event. We have no liability on whether or not some people catch COVID there. I don't really know if any of this is entering into things that are really none of our business, right?
I agree. I mean, I think we go with what Dave Matlin suggested and say, look, it's contingent on following the CDC guidelines, and then it's up to them. It's their responsibility to self-police that.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay. Another question that I have is the people who are not comfortable because of the virus with this block party, like, is there a way for them to get in and out of their home while this party's going on? I mean, I really never asked this in the past because it seemed like everybody was into doing the party.
I understand that. At this point, it is not our duty. It's not our function. It's not functioned by the borough or sanctioned by the borough. All they've asked for is that North Avenue be closed down for this. That's it. So I don't have a problem with it, like you said, Dave Matlin, that we tell them, make sure that you follow CDC guidelines, and that's it. It's not a borough function. So.
Yeah, I would just say state and local as well, since the county,
Yeah.
the county guidelines have been changing, so have the state. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with all that.
Okay, so motion to close down North Avenue for the block party with the contingency that they follow CDC, state, and county guidelines.
Yep.
Somebody want to make the
I'll
motion?
I think you already made the motion. There's a motion on the floor, right?
No, we started to discuss it before, so.
Okay.
Mr. Suchovich made the motion, Mr. Walbo seconded. Are there any other questions? No, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against, any noes? No noes, motion passed.
All right, moving on. We had Trish mentioned it earlier, but we would need to ratify. We did have a roll call vote via email regarding making the community day a borough-sponsored event in order to cover them under borough insurance. We would need a motion to ratify that vote. It was a vote of 6-1.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to make the community days under the borough for the insurance purposes.
You're
Are there
requesting.
any,
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Suchovich, motion, second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Forback. Are there any questions? I was the no vote because I was concerned about the insurance and other groups coming in and trying to get under the insurance policy guidelines and making it a community event. Since then, I have done more research and I feel more comfortable with it. So I will vote yes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Are there any noes? No noes, motion passed.
All right, next on my list, Intergroove, the owners of Intergroove reached out to us and would like to have council approval. I'm going to pull that up here too so I can make sure I'm asking for the right thing. Bear with me a second. Okay, they would like to have an event and would like to have access to Railroad Park. So they're requesting a permit to use the park on a weekend, either at the end of September or beginning of October. They're going to specify the date once they have approval. They will have no more than 100 people, and they intend to sell tickets in order to limit it to 100 people, and there will be a food truck there. So we would need a motion to approve the use of Riverbank Park for Intergroove for their event.
No, it's
Riverbank Park
railroad.
or Railroad
It's
Park?
railroad.
Railroad Park.
Railroad Park. They do not want, the street will not be closed.
That's not what it says here in the,
Okay, I just
Just the
asked to
park.
make sure, just the park.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
motion on the floor.
I'm okay again if we CDC local requirements. Same thing.
Okay.
Quarterback made the motion
Yeah.
Second.
for the Intergroove to use the park, second by Mr. Suchovich. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Do they, well, I'm assuming they'll be selling beer and that. Do they need a permit to sell beer or drink beer in our parks?
Yes.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
have a permit for that.
that'll
That's what I'm
go
asking.
along. The permit will go along with the permit that we issue. They will be permitted
Okay,
to do that.
very good, thank you.
Any other questions?
I just noticed that Jen has her hand, oh, she took it down, never mind.
Any other questions? No questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? No noes. Motion passed.
And the final thing I wanted to bring up is that Matt Resnick reached out to me today to give me an update. His guys were in town either today or yesterday going through and weeding. They also added some additional mulch to the tree beds. He said that some of them were looking a little bit sparse, needed a little bit of a freshening up. He told me that he will not be billing the borough, that was on them to make sure that their work stays looking nice. So I wanted to bring that to council's attention so that they can get the recognition that they deserve.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you, Resnick.
Anything else?
I think that's it for me.
Okay. Mr. Mayor.
A couple things I have. I'm going to bring up the police car, buying a new 2021 Ford Explorer. Our Crown Vic is down. I've been trying to hold off on getting a car, but it's down and it's time to get a new one. Got a couple prices. TriStar was at $33,000 and Schultz Ford was at $36,000. The difference is that I forgot about hybrid engine. That's why it's $3,000 more. So they would be pretty much the same price on from TriStar to Schultz Ford. And I looked into the Dodges, but I talked to officers that'd rather have the Explorer. The Dodge Durango was a little smaller, and the SUV is a little more.
Did we lose Dave?
Yeah, I think he's frozen.
Didn't we talk about this before?
Yeah, we
Jerry
actually
really
ordered a
into
police
it.
car. Yeah, we actually, I'm sure the chief can mention it, but we had already discussed this with the police committee, and the chief did take time to price around. He got a much higher quote from Schultz Ford, but we were able to get a much better quote from McCandless Ford for a 2020 Ford Explorer. So it's actually already underway and handled, and the chief can correct me if I'm wrong, but from my understanding, the deal is already in process where the truck is in stock and it's on its way to Ibis Tech for upfitting.
That's correct. Ibis Tech is ordering parts. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ibis Tech is ordering the parts, but we did go ahead and order it, and it's gonna, I think the price was 33,000 something.
Yeah, but the chief deserves some credit for that because the original quote from Schultz Ford was actually up over 40,000.
And what
So-
kind of car is it?
It's a Ford Explorer.
So is there some reason that our mayor didn't know about this?
I don't know. We talked about it at a council meeting.
Yeah.
So I'm promoting him back to
Talked
panelist so he
a
can
couple
come back
times
in.
during council meetings. Okay, until he gets back, I'm going to move on.
He should be
He's
coming
right
back
here.
He's joining here, I guess. Let me see if I can help him out here.
Gary, is that CoStar's affiliated?
Yes.
What color?
Black. Dave, you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. Okay.
So he didn't,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
So
Okay.
we just started.
Getting back to the.
wait,
Go ahead, Jerry.
So in response to what you had said, we talked about this at a council meeting a month or two ago. The police committee met about it. This is already actually underway. We got a quote from Schultz Ford. It was much higher than that. We got another quote from McCandless Ford. They were at that 33,000 mark and had the vehicle in stock. Ibis Tech is ordering the parts for the upfitting. So it's already a done deal.
Let me ask something. As mayor, why wasn't I notified about this? Why are we going to Ibitech? They're very expensive. We have Sinja in town. They do lettering. We could get them to do the lettering on the car. Give them the business.
Well, there's a lot more that
What
Ibis
color
Tech is.
car did you get?
There's
What's
a lot
that?
more there's a lot more to the upfitting than the lettering. And we talked about
I
this
do
at a
know.
public
We could get
meeting.
another-
We talked about this at a public meeting.
We did?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. And we vote on it.
Where was I at this public meeting?
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
And we
Yeah, we
talked
vote-
about getting
vote
a
on
new car and going to Ibs instead of, giving business to our own people in town as far as lettering and getting a bid on the equipment. Because everything's got to be changed on that.
Right. So Ibis Tech did the build out, the upfit on the Tahoe, and we were happy with the service that they provided. So we went with them. And yeah, it was voted on. Council voted on it. If it wasn't at the last meeting, it was the one before.
Well, what date was it? I mean, I don't remember saying, or else I would have made an argument. I was at every meeting.
I don't know off the top of my head what meeting it was, Dave.
This is taxpayers' money. We should be looking into other, companies for the lights, for the cage, for the radios, and for the signage on the car. Did anybody have a drawing of what the signage is going to look like?
Yep.
I never seen it. I mean, either I'm going to be the mayor or I'm not going to be the mayor. You make the decision, the board.
I think the board is the one that decides on how to spend the money, though. So the board made a decision and voted on what police car after the police committee met and discussed and decided what to buy.
And what color did you get?
Black.
Why another black car? Because on 2016, the officers, when we got the other Explorer, the silver one, they wanted a silver car. I brought it to the board. The entire board voted to get a silver car and not another white car. Now all of a sudden we're getting black cars. Was that also voted on to change the color?
The police committee discussed it.
I'm asking the board.
Okay, then the board can answer.
It was all voted on.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
it was voted on.
seeing
We
that they
discussed
were
this. It was voted on in police committee, and we voted on this at a public meeting.
I don't remember having the detail, honestly. I don't.
I would be arguing this point for the public. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but what meeting was this? I don't have a say-so what goes into my department?
Of course you do, Dave. I mean, this you are in charge of the police department. Absolutely.
But I don't know nothing about this car, just like the last one you got, the full-size SUV. I knew nothing about that until it was brought up. Oh, it's over there in the garage. It was $42,000. We got a grant for $10,000, so it cost us $32,000. Knew nothing about that. We could have got an Explorer at $34,000 or whatever, and put that $10,000 and would have been down to $22,000 or whatever. We're
That's
playing
not true,
with
Dave.
taxpayers' money.
That's not true,
That's what
Dave.
you
If you
said,
go back
Jerry.
and look at the YouTube videos, me and you had many arguments in public meetings prior to that Tahoe showing up at the borough. And that was also voted on unanimously by council.
But I didn't know nothing about it. You voted without me knowing by phone. Craig,
remember that
do
being
I
the
have a
case.
right to know? Tell me, yes or no, as mayor. Do I have a right to know what's going on with my equipment in my department? Yes or no? It's all I want to know. I mean, who's in charge? I don't understand.
Let me answer the question. I mean,
What do you need? What's the town need a mayor for then? If everybody's just going to run out and do, what council wants, what the employees want, what do you need a mayor for?
did you want me to answer? I mean, there's no question that you're in charge of the time manner of the police department, and you get to tell them how to discharge their duties. But council's in charge of the budget. Is it respectful to bring the mayor into discussions on purchasing vehicles and equipment for the department? Absolutely, it is, and it should be done. But that's that's part of the function of council, is to purchase the equipment, and then it's the mayor's job to implement that purchase. Just like it's the council's job to hire the men, and should you and ladies, and should you have a say in that too? Absolutely, you should. But there's nothing in the borough code that says that is part of the mayor's function. The mayor is in charge of the police department and in the time and the manner in which they effectuate their duties. And that's clear. And the mayor, you can schedule them, you can tell them what shifts they work, you can tell them which car they have to take. I mean, you can tell them all that. You're in charge of the day-to-day operation of the police department, period.
Well, apparently you've already got the car, and I'm going to tell you right now, because you pulled this the last time, you wouldn't let my part-timers drive the new car, and they were very upset about that. They take the same bullet as a full-timer does, God forbid. So when we get this car, they are going to be driving the brand-new car. I'm not going to let 3 officers, full-time officers, drive the car and let the other ones have hand-me-downs all the time. That's not right. That's not right to my men.
You're right, Dave.
They all work
this vehicle. Okay, this vehicle will be available to all police officers. The Tahoe will remain a command staff vehicle only.
Then I'll have a choice that the 3 full-time officers ain't going to use the new car. I'll let the part-timers use that. This really upsets me. It really does.
I agree with that. I like the idea that they use the new car.
Yeah, that's fine. That was the intention.
Who was saying that?
The chief said that.
Who?
The chief.
I said that, Dave. We had all intentions
right,
for the officers to use the new car. That's why we're buying it for them.
I mean, my guys are, just because they're part-timers, they're part of the
Mayor, if you want to have a discussion about this, I mean, I called you on the phone and we had a discussion about buying this police car. We also had the police committee meet and vote on this and vote on the color and have this. We also had this as part of the council meeting. So, I mean, if we want to go back and if you go back and take a look at the minutes of the council meeting, we could do that. But it's quite wasting time on this.
No, I would like to see that. And why did we pick black? Why not a nice bright color, like silver, where it's noticeable throughout the community?
Like you mentioned, Dave, the part-time officers do like the black Tahoe that they're not permitted to drive. So this was a way for them to be able to drive a new vehicle that's like that.
And are we going to get this car lettered to Verona Police Department? Or is it going to be like that other one?
It's going to be like the Tahoe.
All right. Do we have any drawings of what they're going to put on?
Yes, we do.
All right, because I'm going to go to Singe tomorrow. I'm going to find out, have them design something for us.
Dave, it's done. Ibis-Tech's ordering the parts. It's been voted on. It's been handled.
I want to see the vote then. Somebody email me the public or the vote.
Until we find out.
All right, I'll move on. I'll move on to my next thing.
Thank you.
Are the down at the docks? They asked for garbage cans. Are they down there?
We ordered we are ordering garbage cans to match the rest of the streetscape. The only garbage cans that we have right now are the ugly blue ones. We're going to put one there,
Well, we
and
should
we're
at
going
least
to put
put them
one at
down.
High Street at the War Memorial Steps, the Veterans Wall.
Okay, also they're asking the closing of the docks when it gets dark out, and there's no lighting down there. That's something we should probably consider for safety of the officers when they go down there to patrol that. Matt, I don't know if there's something out there that we could look into to get some lighting down there that lights up that dock, so my officers, when they go down there, that, you know, they could see who's down there before they get out of the car. And we need some type of gate there possibly too, that they could close them at a certain time. You know, I know people like the night fish, but, you know, maybe like 9, 10 o'clock, it's getting darker, we could, you know, close the docks up. And, you know, that's up to the board, what they think.
Something we should look into.
All right, and the other thing is the crosswalk timers. You know, I have gotten calls on that, and they are right. I timed the one at Center Avenue. There's 5 lanes there as you're coming across by Get-Go, and I did go like 1001, 1002. I got up to 1007. They're in the middle of the crosswalk, and the light changes green, and it is very dangerous. And is actually both South and Center Avenue needs to be changed. I did talk to Matt, and I'm sure he's going to bring it up, and I did talk to the chief also. Chief thought maybe we were responsible for changing that, and Matt was going to actually look in. I didn't know if that was a PennDOT thing or what, as far as the timer goes.
I did talk to, can I interrupt a second? Sorry. I did talk to the gentleman that I've been working with on the lights. He's not able to make that change. That would have to be something through PennDOT. So, and they're real tough about trying to make changes like that.
Well, that's a dangerous hazard.
Yeah,
they need
absolutely.
to change that immediately.
Absolutely. I've seen it where people are.
Do you have anything on that, Matt?
Yeah, I spoke with the same guy, Mr. Clark, on that. That's beyond just our general maintenance because it involves the timing of the signal as well. I do have an email into the engineering company that helped with the design of the Wildwood light because we can't just mess with one or else all 3 intersections are going to be out of time. That is something that we have the right to change. We just have to tell PennDOT what we're changing it to. But it's a little more involved than just getting into the cabinet and switching some signals around. So I am working on that to see how complex it's going to be.
Okay, we could do that as soon as possible, because that, like I said, on Center Avenue, you're right in the middle of 5 lanes and the light changes. So the other thing I have too, and this was brought up from the past council, not most of you on this council, the Veterans Memorial over there. I've gotten calls from some of the veterans and they were asking if we could repair that. And I said it was supposed to be, because at one point I did get 1 bid on it, but we can get more bids. Hopefully before Memorial Day, we could redo that. It's cracking and falling apart and needs to be, I guess, repitched, I guess you would call that, scraped out, redone, then gone over, as far as painting the mural again.
My understanding at the time that was discussed was that the whole cement would have to be redone, which would cover up the entire picture, and it would have to be completely redone by an artist. Because I remember someone talking about, well, can we take a picture so that they can do basically the same design again?
Right. And the gentleman that did the one on Center Auto Parts or Napa Auto Parts, he's capable of doing that, and he always gives us good deals on that. So, I'd like to have you guys put it in the budget for next year so we could get it done for Memorial Day. I know it was brought up before, but it just went away, wayside, and we didn't get it done.
let's see if we can't get somebody to give us a couple bids on that and see what it would cost.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Before we move on, I'd just like to
No,
say,
Nance, it's
this
the mayor's
is in
time.
regards to the mayor's report. Okay? This is
When
the
it's your
topic.
turn, talk about that. We're gonna move on, keep moving. Matt,
Yes, thank you. So I am checking on that timing. We'll try to get something figured out as soon as we can, being that that is a dangerous thing for pedestrians. And like I said, as soon as I hear back from Trans Associates, we'll see what we can do as far as timing. We'll probably have to look at all 3 intersections, but we'll get something done. One other thing that was mentioned earlier during comments is the painting of crosswalks and stop bars throughout town. This past week, I joined a gentleman. We were testing some paint application. It's at the intersection of North and First. That intersection was a good intersection because it has 2 different types of brick, one kind of a red color, one a yellow color. So we put down a crosswalk and a stop bar. His suggestion is to wait till spring and see how it holds up. If it holds up through winter and plowing and salt, it could be a viable option moving forward throughout the rest of town. If not, then he has one other product that we can possibly try. So we are looking at ideas for that. Also, I had sent out an email last week. I was not in town today, so I'm not sure if they did get mobilized. But when I talked to the contractor last week, the work on Diamond Way and Center Avenue is supposed to be starting tomorrow. So please watch out for some temporary closures of the Center Avenue area right by Diamond Way there. As far as some of the other things going on, we did open bids for the Cribbs Field Pavilion project. The grant we have is $200,000, which includes a 15% match, which is $30,000. So we have a total budget of $230,000. The base bid for the demo and construction of the new pavilion came in at $172,000. We had several ad items just to see where prices came in. The first one is for concession appliances at $3,400. The second one would be for an electronic marquee sign at the corner of South and Second. That came in at $12,500. The third was to replace the porcelain bathroom fixtures with stainless steel fixtures to try to prevent some future vandalism. That came in at $7,500. And the fourth item is, instead of an exposed fastener metal roof where you see all the screws through it, it's the standing seam where the fasteners are hidden and they don't actually project through the metal. You get a much longer lifespan out of it. That change came at $6,300. So in total, with the base bid and all 4 ad items, our projected cost is $201,750. Unless there was any objections, I was recommending to award the base bid and all 4 ad items for that contract.
okay. We need a motion to accept the bid that
I'll make
Matt
the motion.
just went all over.
I'll second.
Mr. Matlin, you made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Lealbo made it, seconded. Are there any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
So he's saying 201,750. We got a grant for 200,000 with a $30,000 match. So does that mean that we would be paying the 1,750 in addition to the $30,000 match?
No. So with the DCED, how their grants work is you submit every invoice to them. They only pay 85% of the invoice, and you pay the 15% of the invoice. So our grant is maxed out at up to 200,000. So with the total price coming in at 201, we will only receive 85% of that as grant. Though we can make some changes throughout the process, one being the electronic marquee sign. I spec'd a very generic one just because we weren't sure where the prices were going to come in. So we can always up that to a fancier one with a natural stone base or something like that on it. Right now, it's just an aluminum frame with a red LED lettering. So we can make some slight changes throughout construction to either get some better products that we want, or if not, we end up with less money out of pocket. Because to receive that 200,000, we would have to spend 230,000. So if we only spend 201, that puts our match down in like the 25,000 range, and the grant would pay around 175,000.
Wonderful. Okay, great. Thanks for clarifying that.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any noes? Motion passed.
Thank you. Another item that I'll need a motion on is we opened the CDBG 46. That would be for sanitary lining along First Street. We figured with the road project that we have the grant for, it'd be nice to shore up the sanitary line and make sure we don't have any future sinkholes along there. We have a $43,517 grant for that. So with the bids, they came in slightly under projected at $63,265. So the adjusted numbers, the grant would pay for $41,122, and our match would go down from $23,000 to $22,000. And that company that I'm recommending an award to is JetJack Inc.
Motion on the floor to give Mr. Pitchy to take this bid. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Second by Dr. Carpenter. Are there any questions?
Question.
Yes.
Jerry, we good with the money on the matching part of it?
Yeah, these grant matches were included in the budget for 2019 or 2020, whatever year this is.
Very good, thank you.
Are there any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? No noes. Motion passed.
And another thing, I missed it, getting it updated on my report. The PA Small Water and Sewer grant that we applied for to do the comprehensive CCTV and condition rating of the borough's storm sewer system, we were awarded that grant. I don't have the exact figure in front of me, but it was around a $120,000 grant. That is the same as the pavilion. So it's a 80% grant, 15% match. So I'll be working out the details on that, but that's a positive. That will help us get condition ratings of the borough's storm sewer and prevent the events like on 2nd Street from happening. So no, nothing needs to be done at this point. I just wanted to let everyone know about that.
Okay.
And then we have talked about the Wildwood Culvert repair and the storm sewer extension on Center Avenue there. I just wanted to let everyone know with the CD 47, the year 2021 grants, those pre-applications were due last week to the COG. So I did put together the Wildwood Culvert and the Center Avenue storm sewer extension to apply for grant funding for next year. Something we also put on there was alley reconstructions of the alley between 3rd and 4th Street and Parker and North Street. And we also applied for demolitions of 473 Union, 558 Church, and 856 Second. We won't find out until spring if we are awarded those projects. But I talked it over with Jerry. I know we've talked about that Center Avenue issue. This year, with it being as dry as it has been, there really hasn't been spring water or groundwater leaking into the intersection the way it has in the past years. So we felt if there was a possibility of getting grant money for that we could keep an eye on it for one more winter. That's an option that the board can make. If we want to move forward, we still have time this year to do it. That project, it's about 500 feet of storm pipe, an inlet at both ends. I had it estimated about a $50,000 project. So if we get elected for the grant, we would get about $30,000 of grant funds for it. So that's why I chose to submit it for the CDBG funding. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Pitch. Mr. Alexander.
Can I ask, excuse me, can I ask Mr. Pitch a question?
Yeah.
Matt, South Avenue and East Railroad Avenue, the circle there that's stamped out in brick.
Yes.
When we did that, I had asked Larry, how long would that last? Because I mean, it's a beautiful job and everything. And Larry said it was something new at the time. He didn't, really know, and neither did the company in a sense. It's starting to turn colors. Is there anything that we could do? It's starting to get like a grayish, it's almost like it's starting to wear off, I guess I want to say.
Yeah, I will check into that. I know I had looked at, I had talked with Dave on, there's some cracking occurring on it. Unfortunately, with the crack sealers on the asphalt, you can't get colored sealant. So if we were to go out there, it would be your traditional black sealant. And the way cracks form, it would give you black squiggly lines all over it. I will reach out to the same company though and ask them about the stain, because that's just more or less a commercial stain product that they use to kind of paint the asphalt. I'm not familiar enough with it to know if it can be put on after the fact or it has to be done when the asphalt's hot, but I will definitely look into it.
Yeah, I guess it was like a new process at the time, or just out for a few years, and I know Larry wasn't really up on it either, and we really didn't know what the future was going to be. But it'd be really nice if we could come up with, restaining it or something, in the future.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that and what possible prices are that go with it.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few things. With regard to a potential nuisance ordinance as suggested by Mr. Suchovich, I don't recall whether we did one in Penn Hills. We may have, but I know that in another community that I represent, we did a very comprehensive one, and I do believe it also included the police in it. So what I'll do is I'll get a sample together and get it over to Nancy, and we can include it on the next ordinance committee agenda and get a draft back to council hopefully in a month. With regard to my report, I met with Mark recently on various code issues, and I prepared a number of letters, including 4 or 5 letters on regulated rental violators. And I received communication from Marcia that a few of those violators have already come into the borough and paid their, not fines, but paid their regulated rental fees, and also got the documentation that Mark had been requesting for some time now. We put some significant amount of time into the animal control ordinance and the short-term rentals. I'm going to leave that for Nancy, but I just wanted to say thanks to Mike Forbeck, who supplied some suggestions to that, and especially to Dave Matland, who put a lot of time in it. So Nancy and I spent a good amount of time incorporating those suggestions, and I'm sure she's going to bring that up in her report to get those advertised. Put together a letter. There was, Mark brought to our attention, somebody brought to our attention, I believe it was Mark, that there was an obstruction to a sign by a shade tree, and I was requested to put a letter together in an effort to try to cure that, a nice letter from the Shade Tree Commission. I put that letter together. Both Laura, Jacko, and others provided some feedback to that. That letter has since been sent by the Shade Tree, and hopefully that will get that issue rectified. That's really my report, and I see that Mark has turned his video on. Maybe he has something to add to my report.
Mr. Stanton, do you have something to add to Mr. Alexander's report?
Maybe not.
He's muted. There we go.
No, I don't have anything to add to the report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That's
Mr.
all.
Matlin. Thank you, Mr. Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. President. I first I just want to thank Matt for his and his team of engineers at Senate, their effort on the pavilion at Cribs. I think they did a great job putting the bid spec together and the drawings and everything. Everything looked really good. So I'm glad to see that it came in under budget, and that we'll be able to get the ad items that he put on. I don't really have anything else except I was hoping maybe that we would have a DPW report just for the month on what, kind of the major items that they've worked on, because I know that they've been working hard. I know they're doing a good job. Just something we could share with the public. So Jerry, I don't know if you
know what,
maybe
I do have something, Dave. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to council. I do have something. I forgot to send it to you.
Okay. Yeah, I would just, if that's something we could get in advance, we could share with the public for at least the business meeting. I think it would be helpful. I know people have asked for it, and I think it's nothing in my mind to criticize them. I think they are working on a lot of things. They are doing a good job with a lot of what they do, and I think it would just be good to share with the public so that they can see what what they're doing and be able to appreciate that all the things that get piled on them on a weekly basis. So that's all I have. I'm working on actually the only other thing I'm working on a tree trimming spec that I'll share with Jerry and Matt and others to hopefully by the workshop meeting to get something out this fall. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Matlin. Dr. Carpenter.
Thank you. As Mr. Alexander mentioned, we have been working very hard on 2 ordinances, and I think they are in their final form. I believe that I sent those final forms to all of council. There were several versions of the animal control ordinance, but it has been pared down, and as Craig said, thanks to Dave Matlin for a lot of time and thought that he put into it, and some additional comments from Mike also. So I tried to send those out with plenty of time for people to review. I can make the motion now or entertain any questions anybody has before the motion about them. I'll start with the short-term rental. So I'm going to make a motion that we advertise a short-term rental ordinance with the anticipation of passing that ordinance when? At the next workshop or next month? Craig, which is better?
If it gets advertised soon enough, you want to do both of them at the same time?
Yeah.
Craig.
I would do it at the regular meeting.
Can't hear you.
I would do it at the regular meeting in case the public had any feedback that they wanted to add to it.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to advertise a short-term rental ordinance.
Okay, motion's on the floor to advertise the short-term rental ordinance. Are there any questions?
Do I need a second?
I'll second it.
I need a second.
Oh.
I saw Mr. Forback raising his hand going like this.
Okay, yes, good.
Mr. Forback seconded. Are there any questions? Being no questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any noes? No noes, motion passed.
Okay, now I'm going to make the motion to advertise the animal control ordinance.
There's a motion on the floor to advertise the animal control ordinance. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Suchovich. Are there any questions? No questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? No noes, motion passed.
Okay, I just want to say, in regard to the previous discussion, I did a quick perusal of my minutes, and I couldn't read them all, obviously. But what I did find on the Tuesday, May 26th workshop meeting, in Mr. Forbeck's report, he stated that the replacing the vehicles for the police, there's money in the budget. Now is the time to buy. What we will do to see if there are used vehicles. Propose to keep the Tahoe and silver SUV. Have Annette and Mark use the Crown Vic. Jerry will look into the cars. So since that time, on May 26th, I looked at Mike's report on every other meeting, and I didn't see anywhere where there were specifics discussed or any votes taken. And, you know, I could have missed it. I realize that, but I just basically looked at Mike's report since that meeting on May 26th and saw nothing more about police cars. So
You need to look at Jerry's report too, because it wasn't just my report. So,
well, okay. But my own personal recollection, and again, I understand that maybe I'm not remembering properly, but I don't remember voting on it. I don't remember on a police committee report coming out with something saying, okay, we had a meeting, this is what we discussed, this is what we wanted to get, this is the color we're going to get it. All of the details that we heard tonight were sort of after the fact. I just don't remember it. So I don't
assure
know.
you that we voted, we discussed it. The police committee met. The police committee brought it to council. It was discussed. It was voted on at a public meeting. I'm telling you, it's done.
Well,
We voted on this.
Well, I know it's done, but I don't remember it. So I don't think that I've missed any meetings, and I will look at my minutes further. But I'm sure that the mayor would remember if he was brought in on the discussion about the police vehicle. And I, for one, want to register my, what's the word? I'm not happy. I'm disappointed that you guys are, this is the second time now you've bought a police vehicle and you haven't included the mayor in the discussion, and I don't understand it.
Do you have anything further, Dr. Carpenter?
Just to reiterate what Dave Matlin said about the Department of Public Works, I think they're doing a great job, and once again, to thank them for the incredible job they're doing with watering. They look gorgeous. They've never looked this good this late into the season. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Forback.
thank you very much. Couple of items. First of all, we got our comp plan committee. I reached out to about a half dozen people, and most of them are interested in being part of the committee. So we're gonna as I said, this is comprised of people from the community group, the chamber, the commission, and a couple of members at large. So we're going to plan on meeting probably in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks to start this process moving forward. The other issue I wanted to, thanks, Matt, and I mirror what Dave was saying about thanks for putting all the grants together at Cribs. I'm certainly, you know, the engineer and me and probably Dave the same way, we'd like to see some of the specs and see how things are working. So we'd be glad to take a look at them, and maybe part of the rec board can also be part of a sounding board for some of this as we move forward too. But other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Suchovich.
Nothing really. We're gonna get looking at the budget. I talked to Mr. Canada this afternoon about a few things, and we're getting ready to go on that. He addressed earlier about the audit and everything, so that's about all we have right now. Again, the DPW does a great job, and we've used them for different things for the fire, so kudos to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. L'Alba.
Thank you. I have several things. First off, the pickleball court down at Riverbank Park. Jeff Pepper did a GoFundMe to raise funds to have the entire surface of the pickleball court redone and refurbished. The quote came in at $9,400. He ended up raising total of, what did I put that total? $11,500 and some dollars. He has ideas to also get some park benches and some other upgrades to the park to make it more for some shade and things like that. They will be looking for approval. Tennis will be doing the is contracted to do the pickleball court. He will be start the work on the 14th next week. So hopefully that all goes nice and smooth. Also, one of the concerns that was brought up before is parking down there. They would like to see more parking on the right-hand side, right in front of the pickleball courts on our street. There is no parking. You know, we discussed it before about parking in front of the playground, where that could be a safety issue with children running in all the streets with parking there. But they are looking for extra parking right in front of the pickleball courts if that's feasible, especially on street sweeping days. That's on Wednesdays. There's no parking there. So we can discuss that further, a workshop, or for more ideas from the police department too on what we can do. There's an ordinance on that parking, why the reason is on the other side. It might be helpful for the residents that live on the other side of the street too for their parking. Also, this Friday or this Saturday, I'm sorry, with the community events, the Parks and Rec are doing a movie in the park, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Mr. Rogers movie. They're requesting that the streets be blocked off again in front of Miller's there from, what is it, South to Grant Street there, or James Street rather. That could be done at 7:30. And speaking to Shirley Davis, last summer council sponsored a community dinner at the Methodist Church. It's always the last Wednesday of the month. We have opportunity as a council to do it in October. She was suggesting that our dinner could be a macaroni and cheese with a baked ham, and also served with bottled water and fruit cup and some cookies, some type of dessert. So the council would like to do that again. It'll be a grab and go where we'll donate the proceeds of foods for the community dinner. If anybody's able to help out that day in preparing the meal and also passing it out, it goes between 4 and 6 of the handing. They'll need food runners and things like that. So I will be sending out a little list of things that people can contribute to, or if you're able to help through the day, times and things like that. We'll get closer, more in contact with Shirley Davis at that point. Also, there's been some items with the basketball courts. Dave and Jerry, I'll pass on a little list of, there's some repairs that still need to be done. I guess some of the basketball hoops are loose, or they're making noises, or they need adjusted, both at Riverbank and up at Cribs. So that could be done. I'll send you a little list of all that. Some of the ideas have been passed on to me that could be repaired. And I believe that's all I have.
Thank you.
And
Mr. Provenza.
Hold on real
Yes,
quick.
sir.
Janet, when was the day? Is that the last Wednesday of the month?
The last Wednesday month. Yeah, that would be October 28th would be the date that we would have it.
Thank you.
Yes, you're
All right.
welcome.
Dress up.
Go ahead, Mr. Provenza. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. President. A few items here. The newsletter has gone to print, and it should be in your mailboxes very soon. We extend many thanks to all the residents and the business owners that have contributed wonderful articles and have supported the newsletter with their ads. You are all greatly appreciated, and we thank you again. We're now accepting ads for we're accepting now ads and articles for the October, November, and December newsletter. The articles can be sent to our editor, Donald Worf, and his email address is veronanewsroom@gmail.com. And I can be reached for ads at 412-828-9542. Next item would be farmers market. I always like to remind everybody, please don't forget to support our farmers market every Thursday from 2 to 7 p.m. And if anyone has not applied yet for the farmers market coupons, you still can do so by calling 412-350-4219. And you'll get an application, but that application must be completed and received by Area Agency on Aging no later than Thursday, September 24th, so that it can be processed, and then they will mail you the coupons. Historical Society, all meetings have been canceled until further notice, and you can also check veronahistory.org. If there's any other information, you'll certainly find it there. Community dinner, and Janet had explained the portion about us participating, and I was just going to mention, and I thank you for that, Janet. That was good. I remember that from last year we did that. And I'll be glad, Janet, to sign up and do whatever I can to help at the church. Community dinner will be held Wednesday, September 30th, and it'll be hosted by the Oakmont Methodist Church. And that runs from 4:30 to 6:30. And it will be a grab and go where you can just pull up with your car, very convenient, and we'll just hand you your items, your food, not a problem. And many thanks to Shirley Davis and her helpers for the all the great work that they do. Please know, girls, that you're greatly appreciated. And if anyone can donate a $5 or $10 gift card, preferably from Giant Eagle, that would certainly be a great help to the community dinner also. The next one would be, you had already mentioned, it was painting of lines. I did have a few calls from some of our residents on North Avenue wondering if we had figured out which paint could be used, but that's already been clarified. So I know you're waiting to see how it holds up over the winter, and I thank you for that. Chamber of Commerce, there will be no meeting this month. And as far as Halloween parade, maybe it will go as a drive-by. At this point, we at Chamber have made no decision. So we're going to see how things go as the time progresses. Also, I have ALOM here and have some important information about that. I did talk with the office, and they said the golf outing that they had at Allegheny Country Club was very, very successful, and they were real pleased with that. There was a tension in health seminar that had been postponed until Friday, December the 11th, and it'll be held at the Cranberry Highlands, and there'll be more information on that as time goes on. Also, the Public Works Seminar will be held on Wednesday, October the 28th. And all Public Works employees are required to have a yearly training, and that would be on the MS4, which is water, and the O&M, which is operations and maintenance. And it'll be held at the Chadwick in Wexford. And it possibly will be done remotely, but at this time it hasn't been determined yet. And I believe that's something that has to be done. And also, in closing, I'm looking forward to Saturday and our community day at Railroad Park. Please invite your family and friends to a very enjoyable, fun-filled afternoon at the park. And then, as Janet said, there will be a movie in the evening with Mr. Rogers' movie. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. So it should be a very, very nice day. And I thank Rhea. She had given me the names of the food trucks. We're going to have Pure Grub, which is a plant-based food truck, which is nice for people who don't eat meat. Franctuary is also going to be there. They, of course, handle the meat. And the Funnel Cake Men will be there also. And the last one would be the lemonade stand, and they're from Pittsburgh Crepes. So it should be a very, very nice day. And also, as a member of the Garden Club, we will be selling mums. And the sale of these mums will be a fundraiser for us since we couldn't do anything else this year. And that will certainly help toward some of the purchase of flowers for next year. So I hope you all come on Saturday. It'll be a great day, and I'm sure the weather will be beautiful. Look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Dave, you guys have nothing else on special committees?
The COG did not meet in
Okay.
August as per usual, so the next meeting will be at the end of this month.
Okay. Okay. Do we have any comments from the public?
Yes.
Jerry?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, we have a couple.
Okay.
We'll start. This is either Dawn or Rhoda Wharf.
Please
You're on
limit your
mute.
comments to 3 minutes. Okay.
You have to unmute yourselves, you guys.
Okay, there's two of us, so I get 3 minutes, and Donald, if we can. First of all, we're spreading it out here. You know what? The garbage trucks are killing Wood Street. We had one patch that was damaged, and the streets crew came and repaired it, but it's flattened out again. And then around the bend on Wood Street, going into our alley, it's in shambles. They're cutting the corner too short, and it's destroyed. If somebody can come and look at it, that would be great. Number one. Number two, we took pictures and sent them. I don't know who got them. Matt, did you get anything? Jerry? Okay. Also, I don't know if you were considering doing the park markings on East Railroad Avenue. It was discussed before. Are we anywhere there?
Yeah, AJ has that on his schedule to do.
Okay. Down at the sign, there's the street sign, ARB/Wildwood, by Tom Falls. I don't know if a truck hit it or whatever, but it's crooked. It's on a tilt. If somebody could be kind enough to look at that. Okay, it's the sign, the street sign that we have, one of the newer ones that we put in. And also, it was brought to my attention, are we going to do any touch-up? Every year, Rich Bonaker from Oakmont would touch up the mural that we have on Napa Building. And seeing that we're heading for the 150th, I was wondering, can we look into doing that?
I can answer that question. The chamber always takes care of that. We get it done every year. I'll bring it up to the board. Things like everybody else have been very tight. We have not collected any dues this year because of the virus, but I will bring it up to the board, and along with the other mural over by the cannon, I'd like to get them both done again.
Okay, I'm going to touch base with you because I have somebody that may be interested in contributing to that. Okay?
Okay.
And also, I know years ago, I was trying to get everybody motivated, not just some, but motivation as far as the boats that have accumulated on Art Street. 3/4 of those boats aren't even licensed anymore. And I want to know why we haven't addressed that, because that's actually, isn't that not litter, but what can we say, of abandoned, not a vehicle, but abandoned property. So why can't we start cleaning that up?
I think that Mr. Stanton can say something to that. I think there's been some communication. Mark?
Okay. Yeah, the what's it called? The the Haven down there.
Outboard Haven.
Outboard Haven. Okay. He was sent a formal notice to clear those boats out of there. And I know it started, but we're going to have to follow up. There's been so many other issues that have outweighed that. But he was given a formal notice, and I did meet with him. and I will reinvigorate our notice.
Okay, yeah, if we could be a little more aggressive, that would be wonderful, because we're trying to develop that area, so it would help.
Let me just address that a little bit more. I know that he is very aware of those boats, and as someone who lives down here, I'd love to see them taken care of as well. But what I also know is it's a pretty big expense to him to get rid of them. So he has been hurting because of COVID as well. His business was shut down in March, April, until whenever they allowed marinas to open up. So I think that Mark and Brian were, working together, but he's got a tight budget.
Okay, but Nancy, this has been a problem for years before.
Rhoda, let me say something.
Yeah.
There are legal issues for him.
Oh,
with
I'm
that,
sure, I'm sure.
That we've looked at.
Okay,
And without titles and things, there's a lot of legal issues on his end.
okay.
So,
Well, as long as, Mark, if you can, address that, that'd be, appreciated. Thanks so much.
thank you.
My turn. Okay, don't turn me off.
Yeah.
Okay, Don Wharf, 686 3rd Avenue, Verona. I tripped into this a couple weeks ago. I had to drain the water out of my swimming pool after the heavy rains, which I've done 100 times already in the past. In the process of draining the water, it rolls down Wood Street and goes into the sewer at the bottom of Wood Street and 2nd. And as it was draining, I'm beginning to hear this swish, swish sound. I look down and I can see cars going through lots of water, which has never happened before. And what I think it is a bad pitch, no pun intended, a bad pitch on the angle of the sewer down there, so that water running down South Street into the down towards 2nd bypasses the sewer if it's rolling fast enough and rolls out into the middle of the street. Now, that's not a problem right now so much as, unless you wash your car. But in the wintertime, that's going to be a really serious, dangerous problem.
If Matt can come in.
And I just was hoping that the engineer, Matt, could take a look at that and maybe do a hydraulics test or whatever, roll some water down the street and see if that's the problem. But it was also witnessed by the borough secretary, because she called us and she says, "What's going on up there?" And I told her, I said, I'm draining my pool as I normally do. And that's the problem I'm seeing. I looked down there and it was rolling down in the middle of the street. And that's just from one swimming pool. In the wintertime, when that thaw occurs, it's going to ice that street up really, really bad. So
We'll see if Mitch, Matt.
I sent, well, I didn't send any pictures of that, but have you looked into that, Matt?
I will take a look at that and see what's going on. We might crack a hydrant and see how it flows.
Okay.
And go from there.
All right, sounds like a good plan. Before winter, that'd be great. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Oh, one more thing. I sent this to Nancy on August 28th, a article in the newspaper about U.S. Treasury. There was some money owed or some property owed to different people. It was like a 4-page, they do this every year, it's like a 4-page spread. And under our borough, or under 15147, it was listed, Verona Borough was one of the potential people who were owed money or property or whatever it was. You have to look into it, and I'm sure it's not a problem, but who knows? It might be a lot of money.
I sent it also to Dave Matt.
Oh, we sent it to Dave Matlin too as well. Okay, that's great. So you might want to.
We're aware of that.
Okay, you are. Okay, wonderful. Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you.
You bet. Bye.
Who's next?
All right, next we have Rhea.
Hey everyone, this is Rhea Homa from 742 Brunot Street. Thank you to Sylvia for sharing information about our Modified Community Day event. That's on September 12th from 5 to 8, and of course culminating in the drive-in movie in the park at 8 o'clock. Our Community Day food trucks have been invited to stay throughout the movie to provide concessions as well. But I also wanted to share more information about the scavenger hunt that our community group has also been planning as a means to engage residents within the community to go outside and interact with landmarks and businesses and parks in our community while responsibly social distancing. And anyone can participate in our scavenger hunt. Riddles and maps can be picked up on this Thursday's farmers market or by visiting veronacommunity.org. Again, starting Thursday, September 10th. And then the hunt can be completed at everyone's convenience. They have several days to complete it, but riddles and papers need to be returned either at the Community Day celebration, which is September 12th, that Saturday. They need to be turned in by 7 p.m., or they can be returned by emailing neighbors@veronacommunity.org. And you just email your responses, make sure we get them by 7 o'clock. And anyone who participated, we will take those that completed the scavenger hunt to the most correctly, and we will choose 3 winners, and they will be announced during the Community Day at 7:30. And we have some amazing prizes, gift baskets and gift cards prepared as well for winners. There's more information on the Verona Community Group Facebook page as well. There's an event for the scavenger hunt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Kenneth?
Next will be Laura Jacko.
Hi, everybody. I'll try to keep it quick. So just in regards to something that was voted on earlier, and I know it's, voted on and can't take it back, but I would like a little more clarification on this block party on North Avenue that was approved. It sounds like, there was a request made that people just follow, correct guidelines. However, while I feel comfortable that like Jess, for example, has done a really good job of creating events where people can really socially distance, and like someone had mentioned at the farmer's market, there's people handing out masks and things. I'm a little concerned that this was approved without any feedback from whoever is organizing it as far as to what measures are being taken to keep people safe. I am not aware of any. And who, is in charge of checking in to make sure that it's being done correctly and isn't a danger to the community. And then also, yes, I would like to know what about community members who would like to keep themselves safe and leave the street. I know in the past, if I've ever needed to leave the street for some reason, I get yelled at because the street's closed off, or told that I can't. And I think that it seems a little irresponsible to make it so that people who don't want to participate, and I'm not saying I don't want to, I'm just, concerned for just the block in general. If people are uncomfortable participating and want to leave, I'm a little concerned that there's no way for them to do that. So is anybody,
Laura, let
does
me
anyone have any
address
thoughts on
this.
that?
This is not a borough function. This is a group of people on North Avenue. And all we were saying is we'll block off the street, but we recommend that you follow CDC and state and county guidelines. We cannot tell people how to handle this. That's up to those people in that block. It is not a borough function.
Well, I live on that block and that's my concern. So I would like to know, so if there's no what if, right? Like, we're telling people to follow these guidelines, but if people do not, what is the recourse then?
It's the same on the public street. People don't follow CDC guidelines. It's up to the people there, not the borough. Am I correct with that, Mr. Alexander?
I think this, you always have the option to contact the local police, contact the state police if you feel that somebody's flagrantly violating the CDC guidelines. The same as if you saw, 100 people sitting in a restaurant, that far exceeds the right now 25% limit, soon to be 50% limit. I mean, we're allowed to call and say, hey, we think there's a violation. But really,
So, and will the police be made aware that a large event is going to be happening that was allowed by Verona Borough on that street, and that they may be aware that there may be complaints that night, and just to kind of keep an eye out for it? Because that seems like that would be a good proactive measure to take.
the chief was on the meeting, and he's dipped off now, but he was on earlier when this was all discussed.
Do you think, Mayor Recupero, would you just bring these concerns to him and let him know that, you know, that sounds like that's pretty much the community members' only recourse if there's a dangerous event that's going on in front of their home?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you. It's good to know that there's at least something, you know, in case things get out of hand or what have you, just because there are other citizens on the street and maybe not everybody wants or is comfortable with a large gathering in front of their home. And again, I don't really have a good answer as to how people can leave the street, except for that the street was blocked off. And it just seems a little strange to me to like block people in to an event during a pandemic. I would like, you know, if there's some middle ground that can be reached as to how people can exit their homes safely, I would encourage that.
Thank you.
And finally, we have Stephanie Garibay.
Hello, thank you. I'm just commenting in regards to the continuous digging up and drilling on Diamond Way. What is the final plan for this? Because they're constantly blocking the back of my business for us to get in and out of. And it's just, it's constantly tore up. There's gravel and pits, and when it rains now, it's just flooded. So is there a timeline as to when this is supposed to be over with? Are they who's responsible for paving it? What's going on?
So in regards to that, Oakmont Water replaced their water line that goes through there. Over the past few years, they've had quite a few breaks on it, and that's what prompted the entire replacement. I personally met with Oakmont Water and the contractor that did the work. The borough is working in a joint effort to have the entire alley paved. We do apologize for the time frame of this. The contractor's mother became ill right after we had the site meeting, so he wasn't available to complete any work for about 2 weeks there. As I stated earlier, I wasn't in town today, so I can't say if they mobilized, but as of my conversation last Thursday with them, they're supposed to be starting the work tomorrow. This will include paving the entire length of Diamond Way down to James Street, and it will also include replacing the concrete slabs that are broken up on Center Avenue.
Okay, so this is the final stage then?
Correct.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Not a problem.
Nobody else, Mr. Kenna?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Suchovich. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Matlin. All those, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 No no's.
No
Motion
no's.
passed. What's that?
Sorry, no, I forgot.
No no's. Motion passed. Meeting's ended. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Night.